Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the AEW Dynamite review. And tonight's Dynamite was from the State Farm Center in Champaign, Illinois. And I gotta say, after coming off of last week's Dynamite show, which was the weakest Dynamite, in my opinion, AEW learned from their mistakes, and they put on a decent show tonight. Tonight's Dynamite I really liked. Like I said, it was a decent show. And for the matches, we had a 6-man tag team match. It was the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, and Dustin Rhodes. They ended up taking on Sammy Guevara, Santana and Ortiz of the Inner Circle. We also had Fenix versus Trent. We had an interview with Cody that Tony Schiavone was interviewing Cody, which Cody delivered, in my opinion, one of the best promos, the second best promo of the year. We had Chris Jericho introduced his new list called the Lexicon of Le Champion. It was a list of the superstars that Jericho will probably not face in AEW. And then the main event, we had Jon Moxley versus Joey Janela. So let's get on with the Dynamite review. So AEW Dynamite opened up with the 6-man tag team match. The Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, and Dustin Rhodes versus Sammy Guevara, Santana and Ortiz. And this was a great match. This was a great 6-man tag. Just very entertaining. Back and forth from these guys. You had Matt and Nick Jackson and Dustin Rhodes. At one point in the match, they delivered a triple super kick to Sammy Guevara, which looked really awesome. And you had later on, Sammy Guevara ended up taking his phone. He took his phone. He did some vlogging because, of course, Sammy Guevara has a YouTube channel. He does his vlogs. I've seen some of his videos on here, and he does really good vlogs. So won't be surprised if he uses the footage of what he shot tonight during this match. So he was vlogging. He went up to the top rope, goes for a shooting star press, and he gets a super kick, a double super kick by Matt and Nick Jackson. So he drops the phone. Dustin ends up taking the phone, ends up getting a selfie. He ends up filming. It was one of the Young Bucks ends up kicking Sammy Guevara. Then Nick Jackson goes to the top rope, and Santana and Ortiz they receive pile drivers by Matt and Dustin, and that was really cool. That Matt and Dustin did like a pile driver. It was like a tombstone pile driver, which was cool on Santana and Ortiz. Nick Jackson was on the top. He then lands a senton on Sammy Guevara. And I liked how it was delivered. With like I said, Matt and Dustin delivering the pile driver, and then Nick did the senton on Sammy Guevara. So Matt and Nick Jackson and Dustin Rhodes get the win because of that, because Matt Jackson ended up pinning Sammy Guevara. But all in all, it was a great match. It was an awesome, entertaining match from these guys. The crowd was really into it. They were really loving it. But this was a good 6-man tag. Great match. Then we had Fenix versus Trent, one half of the Best Friends, and along with Chuck Taylor and Orange Cassidy. You gotta love Orange Cassidy, how he walks out, he just stands there looking cool. But this was a decent match between the both of them. I like Fenix. Fenix is entertaining in the ring. One half of the Lucha Brothers, along with Pentagon. And the end of the match, Fenix ends up getting the win. Ends up hitting a muscle buster into a Michinoku driver. They call it a Black Fire driver on Trent to score the win. So Fenix ends up winning the match. But overall, it was a decent match. Really liked the match between the both of them. Especially, with Fenix in there. With Fenix being in the match, it's definitely going to be entertaining. So, but decent match between Trent and Fenix. Then we had the second best promo in pro wrestling this year. So we had Cody. He made his way backstage, ended up coming to the ring. Tony Schiavone was interviewing Cody. Cody ends up reminding the fans that he can never challenge for the AEW World Championship again. And with Cody, he still had the scar that he got from his Full Gear match with Jericho, where he took that hit on the ramp, and he was bleeding like crazy. So Cody ends up saying, last week wasn't much better when he got attacked from the Blade and the Butcher. So Cody says when he usually raises his hand, the people who were there are no longer. He ends up saying Dustin is in a feud with the Inner Circle. Brandy is cutting off, woman's hair, along with Awesome Kong. And he says MJF kicked him, between the legs. So Cody ends up saying to the Butcher, the Blade, and Bunny that they could have just asked for a match. So he says he gets it. So Cody ended up saying that they can have a match whenever. And they can even pick his partner. So he ends up going back to talking about MJF. Cody ended up saying that MJF says that he won't wrestle him. He won't wrestle Cody, MJF. He says, but that won't stand. And he owes it to Cody to have a match. So Cody says he remembers when he bought MJF, along when MJF was told that he was too short and that he was a Bush League NWO Chris Jericho. And Cody says that he'll offer up his Ford Black Ops. Or how about, an expensive watch that Tony Khan ended up giving him. Cody says, how about my red bottom shoes? And how about some cash? So we had Justin Roberts, ring announcer Justin Roberts. He went into the ring. He had a briefcase. Inside of the briefcase was $50,000. So for Cody to prove it, that it's real, that's real money inside the briefcase, he had Justin Roberts go and give a young boy, in the front row, who was sitting front row. Justin Roberts gave that young boy, a $100 bill. So that was nice. That was nice of Cody. That was nice of Cody, to tell Justin Roberts to give, that young boy $100. You can tell how Cody is a really great guy. Because who wouldn't do that for, a fan? This proves that Cody, really cares. You never see WWE, doing that. So, Cody right there, I respect him for that. So, Cody ends up saying that he's going to take out MJF. And all he has to do is name his price. And that the fans want it. And so does he. And Cody ends up saying, let's do this. So, but really good, really great promo from Cody. Loved every minute of it. This is, Cody's second best promo that he cut. The second best promo this year in pro wrestling. Just absolutely enjoyed it. And like I said, him proving that the money is real and having Justin Roberts give that young boy in the crowd a $100 bill, that was really great. That was really great to see. But just really enjoy the promo from Cody. So then, after Cody was in the ring, we had Alex Marvez. He was backstage. He was asking Joey Janela why he wants to face Jon Moxley tonight. Janela ended up saying that he wants to make a name for himself. And that he was one of the first to sign with AEW. Janela says since that time, he's been put on the back burner. And, Janela ended up reminding Jon Moxley of their unsanctioned match at Fyter Fest. And Janela says tonight, it counts. And the lights are on. So Janela ended up saying that this time, you'll have to kill me. So Jon Moxley ends up showing up, comes in during the interview. He stares at Janela, and Moxley ends up saying, kids. Then Moxley ended up walking off. So this was the main event tonight, which I will get to, talking about the main event. That was basically that. Then we had the Dark Order. We had a promo for or vignette of the Dark Order, and we see a guy on his computer. He ended up signing up to join the Dark Order. We see Evil Uno. He's bringing this guy into the group in an outdoor ceremony, which was, at night. So this is the same guy that we saw from the other vignettes, and he's asked if he'll leave his loved ones behind for the group. guy ends up saying yes. He's asked what his motive is, to be in this group, in the Dark Order. Guy ends up responding, I just wanted friends. So we had Grayson kicking the guy in the face. And of course, minions end up attacking this guy. So that was basically that. Then we had a women's match. Nyla Rose versus Leva Bates. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. But this was a short match. This was a short women's match. Back and forth between the both of them. And Nyla Rose ended up getting the win. And, of course, Leva Bates, she's with Peter Avalon, the librarian, which, they're making him a jobber. So, but Nyla Rose won the match, hit the Beast Bomb on Leva Bates. Post-match, we saw Nyla Rose. She ended up hitting another Beast Bomb on Leva Bates. And she ends up trying to do another Beast Bomb, deliver another Beast Bomb to Leva Bates. But Shanna ends up coming out. Shanna climbs to the top rope, hits a diving crossbody on Nyla Rose. Shanna ends up, striking Nyla Rose, end up hitting an elbow strike, and Nyla Rose end up stopping her, and she ends up hitting Shanna with a power slam. And Shanna was looking to get some revenge from last week, which we saw Nyla Rose end up powerbombing Shanna through a table during a meet and greet. So Nyla Rose ends up heading out of the ring and brings in a table into the ring. And Nyla Rose ends up putting one of the referees through a table. And, she then power bombs. Nyla Rose ends up power bombing Shanna on top of the referee. And so then we see the cameras end up cutting to Britt Baker. She had the same reaction as to what we saw when they cut to her at TakeOver War Games, where she looked concerned about her boyfriend, Adam Cole. They made her do the same thing, the same reaction to what we saw at TakeOver War Games. So I thought that was funny. Thought that was funny to see. But all in all, it was a short match. It was kind of a squash match. Then we had the Lexicon of Le Champion. So you had Jericho came out. Jericho headed to the ring, accompanied by Jake Hager. Jake Hager ended up having, a little bit of, Jericho had a bottle of the little bit of the bubbly, and he had a clipboard with him. So Jericho's in the ring, gets on the mic. Jericho ends up shitting on the crowd a little bit. Jericho ended up saying that he has to have one more match to close out the year. But he gets to pick his opponent. And, he puts and he says, I put together a little list. The crowd ends up popping about that. And, if you remember, when Jericho was in WWE, how he made famous you just made the list. So, the crowd ended up popping for that, thinking that he was going to say it. But Jericho's like, oh, calm down. It's not 2016. So he ends up showing off the list, which was called the Lexicon of Le Champion. And he ends up running through a bunch of names on the AEW roster that he could face. I know I messed up, in the video, at the beginning of the video where I said Jericho, the list, he could have opponents who he would not face in AEW. I got my notes all mixed up here, but these are guys that he could face on the AEW roster. And he was saying, Moxley a bunch of times along the way. So Jericho wants to have a match with Jon Moxley. That would be a pretty good match to see. And then we had Luchasaurus, Jungle Boy, and Marco Stunt. They came out. Jericho ends up saying that he was just about to get to them. And he lists dinosaurs. So then Luchasaurus has the mic in his hand. He ends up growling. And then tells Jericho that he has a master's degree. And that dinosaurs have been marginalized for 65 million years. And he then gives props to Marco Stunt. And it's neither of them who want Jericho. It's Jungle Boy. So then Jericho ends up ripping on Jungle Boy, talking shit about Jungle Boy, saying that Jungle Boy hasn't even won a match. He is a mute. And he ends up calling Jungle Boy a piece of shit. So Jericho says Jungle Boy couldn't last 10 minutes with him. So Jungle Boy takes the mic. He ends up saying that he knows he can last 10 minutes. And that he will kick Jericho's ass. So Jungle Boy slaps Jericho. And we had a brawl break out with the Jurassic Express. Luchasaurus, Marco Stunt, and Jungle Boy. Brawl with Jericho and Jake Hager. So in the end, the Jurassic Express end up standing tall in the ring. And that's how the segment ended. But it was a very enjoyable segment. I really liked it. I liked the the whole thing with Jericho here, showing off his list of the Lexicon of Le Champion. So, and listing all the names that he could face on the AEW roster. He was saying Jon Moxley a lot of times, so who knows? We could either see Chris Jericho versus Jon Moxley, which like I said, that would be a good match to see, or we'll possibly see Chris Jericho versus Jungle Boy. If I had to choose, I would want to see Chris Jericho and Jon Moxley. Given how Jon Moxley has been on a roll lately. But really enjoyed this segment with Jericho. And we had another women's match, Kris Statlander versus Hikaru Shida. This was a decent women's match. Really like Hikaru Shida. She's very entertaining. She has a lot of She has a lot of greatness in the ring. And in the end, Kris Statlander ended up winning the match. She ended up delivering a inverted pile driver on Hikaru Shida. So there you go. Kris Statlander ended up winning the match. But it was a decent women's match. Post match, the lights go out, and we see Brandi Rhodes and Awesome Kong. They end up coming out, and Brandi gets on the mic. She ends up saying, "People love what they don't understand. And people have been clamoring for answers about what they are up to." Brandi says her and Awesome Kong, make up the Nightmare Collective. And they are looking to grow. So we saw Brandi ends up talking to Kris Statlander and Statlander to pledge herself to the group. So Brandi says to do it right now. Then Awesome Kong ends up moving in while Statlander is hesitating whether or not she wants to join the group. So we had a fan in the crowd. A fan, of course, was a woman, of course, a wrestler from the Chicago area. She was asking to pledge. This wrestler ends up coming into the ring, and she ends up offering her hair. So Awesome Kong ends up cutting a piece of the hair off that fan, or as they would call it, playing a wrestler in that local area. And then Kong ends up cutting more of that fan's hair. So it looks like we got a new stable here called the Nightmare Collective. Really like where they're taking this, along with Brandi and Awesome Kong. This is going to get more interesting here. But it's cool. It's really cool. Then we had Pentagon Jr. versus Christopher Daniels. Really enjoyed this match. This was a good match. Before the match got underway, we saw Christopher Daniels get an attack on Pentagon as Pentagon made his way out. So Christopher Daniels ended up attacking Pentagon before the bell. Pentagon ended up recovering, drops Christopher Daniels on the ramp. He ended up clotheslining Christopher Daniels back into the ring, which looked cool. And the match got underway, and both of these guys in this match worked really well here. There was a point in the match where Fenix ended up running in. He ends up tossing Christopher Daniels' mic stand in the ring. So Pentagon, I guess, could use it if the referee's back was turned. So Pentagon ended up trying to use it on Christopher Daniels. And, he tried to use it right in front of the referee. So Pentagon ended up missing. Christopher Daniels ended up going to get it, ended up going to get the mic stand. He ends up thinking about if he wants to use it on Pentagon. Of course, if he uses it, it would be a disqualification. So the referee ends up clearing out of the ring because Christopher Daniels ended up tossing it. Referee ended up clearing out of the ring. That's when Pentagon ended up hitting a low blow because the referee's back was turned. So Pentagon got the advantage. Low blow Christopher Daniels. And he ended up delivering a package pile driver to Christopher Daniels to score the win. So Pentagon Jr. ends up winning the match. Overall, it was a good match. Really enjoyed both of them in this match. They gave it all. Both Christopher Daniels and Pentagon Jr. They gave it all they got in this match. So I like that they didn't. That none of them didn't use that mic stand. So if they would have used it, would have been disqualification. To the match, and I didn't want to see that. Then we had a vignette for the Blade, the Butcher, and the Bunny, which we saw them debut last week. So Bunny says last week was their first order of chaos, which of course Bunny is Allie. So she ends up saying that they are so sick of seeing Cody's face everywhere. And they want to change that. She ends up saying that we're here to cut the head off the snake. And that's how the vignette promo ended. So looks like, Blade, Butcher, and Bunny, they want to, phase, Cody out. They want to change that. We'll have to see where, this is going to go with them. Then we had the main event. Jon Moxley versus Joey Janela. Really awesome match. Jon Moxley is having a good year so far in the matches that, he's had. Of course, the best match that he had was at Full Gear with Kenny Omega, which that is a classic match. If you guys haven't seen it yet at Full Gear, highly recommend you watch that match between Moxley and Omega. That unsanctioned match, absolutely great. It was a classic. I don't know why people complain about that match. I'm like, why are you complaining about the match? The match was fucking great. I don't see what people had a problem with that match. I don't get it. What was wrong that you saw in that match? Me, I didn't see any problem with that match. So, but I had to, throw that out. Jon Moxley, that is one of his best matches, along with Kenny Omega. That unsanctioned match at Full Gear that happened at Full Gear. So, match got underway. We had back and forth between Moxley and Janela. Moxley ended up starting the match, and I really liked this part of the match where they were on the ramp, and Jon Moxley ended up clotheslining the hell out of Joey Janela, and Janela ended up selling that clothesline, which looked really awesome. But in the end, Moxley ended up winning the match. He ended up hitting a paradigm shift in the middle of the ring on Janela. Went for the cover on Janela. And there you go. Jon Moxley won the match. Really good match. Very enjoyable match with Moxley and Janela. Post-match, you had Jericho's music ended up hitting. Jericho comes through the crowd as what we saw last week with Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley, the end of last week's Dynamite, came through the crowd staring at Jericho. So Jericho pretty much did the same thing tonight, this week. So Jericho comes through the crowd. Jericho ended up staring down at Jon Moxley. He had Guevara, Santana and Ortiz, and Jake Hager standing behind Jericho. Jericho ends up holding up the World Championship, the AEW World Championship. And that was how Dynamite went off the air tonight. But Dynamite, like I said, a decent show. Really liked it. A lot better than last week's show. And they learned from their mistakes after how they delivered last week's show. Yes, anyways, that's it for my review of AEW Dynamite. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. If you did, definitely give this video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and there will be no SmackDown review on Friday. Latest it will possibly be up maybe Saturday, maybe Sunday, either one of those 2 days. So, anyways, that's it for this video. Thank you all for watching, and until the SmackDown review, I'll see you all later.